One thing I notice in this country, they have made Dr. Martin Luther King out of one speech, I have a dream. And you can best believe they'll be harping on that like they do every year. But, they really have a lot of nerve, being that all across this country, they are actively trying to phase out DEI. And Dr. Martin Luther King's speech, for you to even try to play that is a major contradiction. But that's not what I really liked the most about Dr. Martin Luther King. I did like the speech that he did back in 1968. And Dr. Martin Luther King was very much for reparations and felt that it was due. And it is due because this government, not just the citizens, but this government had policies in place, and they still enforce policies against our people. I was looking at an article this morning where Governor Murphy here in my state, he's going to be looking at the disparities and trying to get rid of the disparities in housing, and how appraisals are coming back very different for our people and white homeowners that have similar homes, where they get the best market value for their homes and they try to undercut us. Because, see, what they're trying to do is make sure you don't have any generational wealth to pass down, or if you sell your house, you're not going to get what you should have gotten out of the home, especially when you made improvements and so on and so forth. And let's face it, the dreamer was us, and they hijacked it during the time of Obama and gave it to the immigrants. The immigrants aren't dreamers. The dreamers are us. And that comes straight out of Dr. Martin Luther King. They're not dreamers. No immigrant came from a different country and created being a dreamer out of that. No, they ripped that off from Dr. Martin Luther King. And when he was talking about dreamers, he was talking about Black Americans, because even to this day, we still have not achieved any type of equality. But that's because America don't want it. America don't want equality. That's why they keep throwing roadblocks in the way. But, Dr. Martin Luther King knew even back then that there was a problem with racism in America, along with many social ills that were going on in those times and continue to happen even today. So he was killed in Memphis on April 4th, 1968, at the age of 39. And to this very day, many activists quote Dr. Martin Luther King. It just goes to show you the level of power his words had during those times that still ring true even to this very day. And reparations was one of those issues that he brought up that never get brought up by mainstream news, because they're just so focused on putting "I have a dream" up in our faces since 1968 nonstop. Every year, "I have a dream, I have a dream," as if this man was not about many other things. Now, today, we are talking about reparations, righting the wrongs of the past and all of the damage that has been done collectively, not only by citizens in this country to the Black community, but also this federal government had many policies that still impact us to this very day. So, one of his speeches was Two Nations of Black America, where King talks about the unfair practices of the US federal government. And by the time 1967 came around, King He confessed in an interview with NBC News that dream that I had has at many points turned into a nightmare. And I know many of us have spoken about this. Yeah, he had a dream, but he also came to the realization that you weren't going to change racism in America. So a lot of people harp on I have a dream, but we know America has never lived up to it, not even to this day. There is still not equality in jobs, certainly isn't in pay, it's not in housing, and many, many things. I mean, even to this day, we can't walk into a bank and get loans like other people can. You got all these immigrants coming into the country, and trust me, they'll be more than likely to get a business loan over anybody from our community, even to this day. One thing about America, America will always focus on pushing every non-black group ahead of us. And you already see this going on with the immigrants that are coming across. They are padding up their pockets, they are providing very well for these people, where we have been sitting here for hundreds of years and they haven't even attempt they complain every step of the way over any little minuscule thing they have to do for us. So, one thing, he was very critical of capitalism, and he called for a redistribution of wealth. So demanding reparations was one of those things that he talked about, and in that speech, he spoke about the US government giving millions of acres of land to immigrants from Europe, but gave nothing to the Black Americans who came in chains and built up the country. He gave several speeches between 1967 and 1968, including his Three Evils of Society, where King spoke about land grant colleges were built to help whites, immigrant farmers. Those grants were there to improve farming, and low interest loans. Okay. And through that, this is why the white farmer was able to become way more successful than the black farmers, because they were not given those same opportunities to grow crops. In fact, he talked about how they paid farmers, this federal government paid farmers not to grow crops. And we've heard about that kind of stuff even going on to this very day. So it's amazing, y'all. I want y'all to think about something. We're demanding reparations, and we got people coming saying, well, you got welfare, that's your reparations. Well, every black man, woman, and child in this country has never been on welfare. My family's never been on welfare. In fact, the vast majority of people on both my mother and father's side were not on welfare. They had jobs and worked until the day they retired. So, no, that's not reparations. And plus, everybody gets welfare. Even these immigrants are getting welfare. So, no, that's not reparations at all. Or they'll say something idiot like Obama was your welfare. A human being can't be no welfare idiot. But just think about the person that that's coming from. So, anyway, y'all, this federal government played a huge role in keeping our people in an oppressive state, along with the citizens that played along with it and still do. That's why you got Karen and Darren out on the streets today, because they are showing you that they are still there. They are still there to destroy. Okay. And that's exactly what they are aiming to do. Ladies and gentlemen, dreams do come true, but they have not always come true for us. And, you know, that's one thing about King. King himself said that integrating lunch counters and public parks was easy because it didn't cost anything. And isn't that the truth? Yeah, they're all down for doing things for us as long as it don't cost them nothing. They're all for it. Juneteenth. Well, everybody got that day off, right? Oh, we're going to give you a Rosa Parks Day. We didn't ask for that. You know, as long as you keep giving things that we did not ask for, then it shows that you still don't respect us. That's what it does show. So he even said, lunch counters and public parks, integrating those things, it was easy because it didn't cost America nothing. But true equality would require spending money. And you can see, even to this day, they resist that. They don't want this playing field leveled because we would leave them in the dust, y'all. Let's be for real. We would. And they know it. That's why they have worked hard. Anytime we start chattering about Black Wall Street or resurrecting a Black Wall Street, they're right there to try to sabotage the whole thing because they know what you're capable of. So it seems to me the issues that Dr. King was confronting back in 1968, it does not differ from what we confront today. And, some people say, well, what would Dr. Martin Luther King think? Dr. Martin Luther King would wonder why the people that took part in killing him are always raising his name. And if they cared about him, then you would not have killed him in the first place. And number two, Dr. King, when you go back and listen and watch the civil rights movement, you realize we only took a baby step ahead, y'all. Definitely not a major one. So, Dr. Martin Luther King did make a mark in this world, and he is probably the most heavily referenced civil rights leader in the world, and he always will be. Y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.